The revolution will be televised. It will be brought to you by me and brought to me by you. It will show pictures of what needs to be seen and some things that don't.
Adrian Hurley from East Asian Studies. Tell us about some of the things that you've encountered this morning. You've had some direct interactions with the mainstream media that you want to report live to the world.
Around 11:45, I arrived in front of Roddick Gates, and at that time there weren't very many people there yet, but there was one CTV reporter, and I noticed he continued to ask well-dressed white boys, people, particularly people wearing green squares, for interviews, and this is pretty awesome. And I ended up being the only person around after a number of those kind of guys had walked by, and he came up to me and I said, "I'm so not doing an interview with you." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I've been watching you profile conservative-looking straight white boys, and I've listened to the kind of questions you've asked them, and I don't feel comfortable doing an interview with you." And he said, "Oh, you're obvious," and he stomped off. And as he continued to do the interviews, and I discussed what he was doing with my colleagues as they arrived, he yelled, and we had a little bit of a confrontation over the integrity of his journalism. So I'm really happy that you all are out here. It's really, really important that CUTV, CKUT, and all of our local independent media that really cares about what we're doing are out here. So thank you all for being here for this. And McGill on strike along with everybody else. So yeah.
McGill's on strike and McGill profs are out too. What scares you the most about these tuition hikes and how it might change the future of university education in Quebec?
Well, we've already been on a pretty bad course for a while, but what this is going to do is make education even more inaccessible. And I'm here today with a friend. I'm here today with a friend who's 5 years old today, and I'm out here for him. I'm out here so that he can have an opportunity to go to school if he wants to. So the continued privatization, securitization, militarization of our schools has to stop, and it has to stop now. Woo!
Allô?
Salut, ça va bien?
Oui, ça va super bien, merci.
Oui, est-ce que tu peux nous expliquer un peu le concept de la pancarte?
Ben, en fait, c'est pas compliqué. C'est Jésus-Christ, Jean Charest. En effet, il marche tous les deux sur quelque chose, mais c'est pas la même chose, évidemment. Puis on voit une petite évolution de la société. On commence ici par des belles croyances, il marche sur l'eau. Ensuite, il marche sur les étudiants. Ça se résume pas mal à ça. On est assez déçus de la hausse des frais de scolarité. Je pense que c'est assez clair là-dessus. On se fait marcher sur la tête, puis il n'y a pas de doute là-dessus.
Donc, tu es fier qu'aujourd'hui, il y a plus de 300 000 étudiants qui soient mobilisés pour la...
Je suis terriblement fière, sérieusement, là, d'être ici là, aujourd'hui, là, puis de voir plein de monde dans la rue. Là. Il y a de quoi être fier de faire partie de ça, là, vraiment. Là.
Est-ce que tu penses que ça va apporter un changement dans la politique?
Ben, je suis peut-être un petit peu sceptique par rapport à ce qu'ils reviennent sur leurs décisions, mais en tout cas, on va pouvoir dire qu'on a fait quelque chose. On est sorti dehors, on s'est levé, on s'est fait entendre, puis il y a vraiment de quoi être fier, sincèrement, là, vraiment.
Ben, je te remercie beaucoup pour ta présence et pour ta magnifique pancarte, c'est génial, merci.
C'est moi qui t'en remercie, merci.
Aujourd'hui.
Ben, on a 3 enfants, nous. On trouve ça important de préserver l'accessibilité aux études pour eux, mais aussi pour tous les enfants qui vont avoir leur âge. C'est ça.
Définitivement. En fait, le ministère de l'Éducation québécois semble penser que l'accès à l'éducation est seulement un privilège, mais en fait, c'est un droit, non?
Oui, tout à fait. On est d'accord avec ça.
Est-ce que vous pensez qu'il y a d'autres mesures qui pourraient être mises en place pour aider à part, pour compenser la hausse des frais de scolarité?
Bien, en fait, ça prendrait un meilleur système de prêts et bourses, mais ça, c'est en dehors des frais de scolarité. On ne devrait pas les augmenter de toute façon. Je pense qu'il y a de l'argent à aller chercher ailleurs. Il y a des compagnies qui ne sont pas assez imposées. On entend beaucoup parler des compagnies minières, mais il y a un ménage à faire en ce moment au Québec.
Définitivement. Bien, merci beaucoup. Merci. Bonjour. Ça va bien?
Ça va très bien vous-même.
Oui, très bien, merci. Est-ce que vous pourriez nous lire votre pancarte?
Il est marqué « Vive la Scandinavie ».
Oui, effectivement, il y a la gratuité scolaire.
Oui. Ben, même qu'en Norvège, les étudiants sont payés 3 800 € par session pour aller étudier. C'est fantastique.
Oui, effectivement, on a passé ici. Je pense pas que les prêts et bourses accotent. Par contre, il y a effectivement un taux d'imposition qui est plus élevé. Puis ça a été un des arguments amenés.
Oui, ils exploitent des ressources naturelles aussi, mais on en a plein des ressources naturelles. On peut faire ça, nous aussi. Avoir des redevances sur ces ressources-là, les exploiter dans le sens des intérêts du peuple.
Donc, garder un taux d'imposition relativement le même que ce qu'on a en ce moment.
Du taux d'imposition. Ce qui est important, c'est que l'éducation soit gratuite.
Effectivement, c'est un choix de la société.
Ah ouais, exactement.
Parfait, c'est bien de se mobiliser aujourd'hui pour cette cause. Merci beaucoup.
Bye.
Au revoir. Oui, alors, première question qu'on aime bien poser aux gens. Est-ce que tu as 1625 $ pour compenser pour la hausse des frais de scolarité?
Ah, j'en arrache. Ce sera vraiment difficile de les amasser. Bon, en fait, moi, je suis en train de finir mon programme, mais je pense à tout ce qui va venir après moi. C'est pour cela que je suis venu manifester ici. 1625 $, ça commence à peser lourd.
Puis tu penses que la présence des gens ici aujourd'hui va avoir un impact sur le gouvernement Charest?
On l'espère bien parce qu'on ne peut pas continuer à rester sourd quand même. C'est ça qu'on veut, attirer l'attention, on l'espère.
Parfait. Est-ce que tu es seul ou tu es avec du monde aujourd'hui?
Oui, je suis avec des amis, mes colocs. Vous pouvez leur demander leur impression. Par contre, il y a des journalistes.
Salut! Ouais, ça va super bien.
Ouais, et toi, est-ce que tu as 1625 $?
Est-ce que j'ai quoi?
1625 $ pour compenser?
Non.
Non.
Ben, comme la majorité du monde ici, j'imagine, aujourd'hui. Hein?
Exactement, oui. Mais il y a peut-être les prêts et bourses, par contre, qui pourraient compenser un peu pour ça.
Il y a les prêts et bourses. Les prêts et bourses qui sont peut-être pas assez élevés maintenant, qu'on pourrait éventuellement compenser. J'imagine, en tout cas, il y aurait multiples solutions à ça, hein? Mais c'est sûr qu'eux autres, il faudrait à la base qu'on aille peut-être moyen de négocier avec eux autres.
Effectivement. J'ai entendu beaucoup d'arguments contre la hausse des frais de scolarité, évidemment, aujourd'hui. J'aimerais savoir, parce que j'ai pas entendu beaucoup de bons arguments pour. Est-ce qu'il y a un bon argument pour la hausse des frais de scolarité? Question de faire travailler notre esprit un peu.
Est-ce qu'il y a des arguments pour... Bon, moi, je peux dire l'éducation, comme tout produit de consommation, il faut s'attendre à ce que son prix aille vers la hausse. Mais je pense pour c'est un droit. La question est-ce que l'éducation est un droit, c'est la question à laquelle il faut répondre aujourd'hui. Ouais. Pas juste prendre l'être humain en tant que charge. C'est ça. C'est pour cela que je manifeste.
Parfait.
Ouais.
Ben, merci.
De rien, ça fait plaisir. Merci.
Well, we've had a lot of sort of like dissenting voices within the department telling us that the action that we're taking isn't exactly appropriate, and I thought that this quote from Virginia Woolf just explains the necessity of what we're doing.
So just to read it out for our viewers, it says, thought plus theory must precede all salutary action, yet action is nobler in and of itself than either thought or theory.
Yes, very much agree with it.
It's a long-winded sign, but well-deserved today. Could you tell us what department is DESA at McGill?
So do you want to handle this?
So DESA is the Department of English Students Association, and it's composed of 3 streams, which is the theater department, cultural studies, and English literature.
And so tell us a little bit about your department's motivations for being out here today. Did you have a GA? Did you guys vote to go on strike?
We had a GA, although we are calling it a town hall on Monday because of reasons within the department. We've been penalized for calling it GA, so we're calling it a town hall, but we took a strike vote, and there was an overwhelming majority within our quorum, which was 7.5% of the DESA population, to go on strike, and so here we are today.
Woo, that's excellent. Historic at McGill this term.
It is historic. We are so proud. I've never been more proud to be an English student.
And tell me about the participation of students this week on the picket line. There were actually picket lines at McGill University, including around some English classes. What was the interaction like? Was it generating a lot of awareness among students?
There have been a variety of different picket tactics. Some have been more aggressive, especially on the first day, and we decided to err away from those because we really want to warm people to our way of seeing things and get them onto our side. So in the past few days, we've just been walking into classrooms, having a discussion usually, and often professors will opt to cancel the class, or students are so in solidarity with our message that they leave themselves. That's what's been happening, especially yesterday.
Now, I was under the impression that the director of the English department at McGill University had said something to the effect that it was a reasonable loss, the number of students that wouldn't be able to come to school with the tuition hikes. So there's some prediction of like 30% of students won't be able to afford tuition parents like myself, students who are low income, won't be able to afford tuition after the hikes. What do you think of that reaction of administrators at universities who say students should suck it up and pay the cost?
Well, Professor Hepburn, the head of our department, I have spoken with him extensively, and he has many arguments. I've never heard him say quite suck it up, but that is seems to be the gist of it. And what we have to say to that is, you gave us the tools to think critically, and we are using them, and we're taking them outside of the classroom to make an actual difference, and that is why we have this quote.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think Zoe summed it up. Solidarity.
Solidarity with the rest of Quebec.
Awesome. It's great to see McGill out. Thank you guys. Why are you out here with your daughter today?
Oh, well, to show solidarity for, not increasing the tuition.
Now she's wearing red. Is she opposed to tuition hikes?
Yes, she is.
And she's for accessible education?
Yes, she is.
Are you out here in some ways to ensure that she can go to school too, you think?
Yeah, and she is too, I think.
How's she reacted so far to the big crowds?
Oh, she's having a lot of fun.
And yourself, have you been out to these kind of demonstrations before? Are you a student?
I'm a student, yeah. No, this is my first demonstration.
And you're a student at what university?
At McGill.
At McGill? Can I ask you about your experience at McGill this term with the mobilization around the strike? Do you feel like it's a bit historic, or is this business as usual at McGill?
Well, it's been business as usual for me. I mean, I've noticed it all, but it hasn't really stopped me from doing anything.
But you're out today.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you think the administration, Jean Charest, Len Beauchamp, you think they'll hear you?
I hope so.
What would
There's enough of us,
What would your message be to them?
Well, I think that, what this is really is a debt transfer. And it's taking debt and transferring over to people who can least afford it, and that's students. And I don't agree with that. And, it seems that most people here don't agree with it either. So hopefully they'll hear us.
And I'm sure your daughter won't look forward to that kind of debt accruing in her name.
Well, no, we're trying to, save up for her education as well as pay for our own, and this definitely doesn't make it easier.
So do you have $1,625 on you?
On me, no. You try to show up with as little change on you as possible. Not that I'm worried or anything.
No, I'm thinking more in terms of being able to pay the tuition hike.
Well, look, you'll pay it however you pay it, but if you want to go into debt, you go into debt. It takes longer to pay it off. It definitely doesn't make things easier.
I know at McGill we did some calculating of the numbers, and TAs are going to have to work not just 90 hours to pay tuition, but with the increase, 144 hours to pay tuition. So everybody's going to have to work more to pay off this debt. Are you looking forward to that kind of education system where people work and work and work just to be able to learn?
Well, I think the more you work, the worse you'll do, and then I don't think anyone benefits,
So you're advocating for a knowledge society?
Well, yeah, isn't everyone?
I'm not sure. Let's ask Jean Charest. What do you think?
She's not sure either.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Sure, no problem.
I'm Alana Thane. I'm a professor in the English department and in the World Cinemas program.
Now you're wearing a lovely red dress today. Are you against the tuition hikes by chance?
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, for a number of reasons. I don't think students can afford it. The rate of the hike is unreasonable. As a Quebecer and a taxpayer, it's, I think, one of the best investments of our tax dollars to support education. It's an investment in the future.
Do you see McGill changing if the hikes go through?
Well, yes, of course. They say that there won't be any impact on who has access to education. But I see that impact in a number of different ways. It's not always just a question of who's going to be able to go to university, but what kind of experience they're going to have when they're there. Some of my best students are working almost full-time to support themselves while they're studying. It's a myth that all students have parental support. Not everyone's family can afford to support them. When they're studying, they need to be able to concentrate on their studies and not be worried about having an indebted future.
Whenever you think about McGill University and in particular the English department having voted through a town hall to go on strike, are you seeing a different McGill today when it comes to rising up and being part of the student movement in Quebec, or is this part of McGill's history for you, this sort of participation?
I'm surprised to see the participation, and I think it's fantastic. People at McGill need to remember that we're part of Quebec too. We're part of this movement. People at McGill benefit directly from the low tuition that has historically been part of education in Quebec, and I feel like all students are implicated by these decisions. They should be out here.
And what's your message to, I guess, all of McGill and beyond with regard to this issue? Is the movement concluding today, or do you feel like this is going forward?
Oh no, it's going forward. It's raising an entire conversation that we need to have about what's the value of education, what's the role of our students, how are students citizens as well as just students. So there's been a lot of discourse about Quebecers versus students, taxpayers versus students. My students are all working. They're taxpayers too, they're citizens too, and they're in university to learn how to be good citizens. And I think this is one great way to be a good citizen.
Well, thank you for coming out and supporting the demonstration today.
Thanks for doing the interviews.
The revolution will be televised. It will be brought to you by me and brought to me by you. It will show pictures of what needs to be seen and some things that don't.